Welcome to the Belated Tech Channel's 65th edition and second year of the Tesla and SpaceX Redux. We are reviewing the milestones that occurred on each day in the week of December 13th through December 19th in the history of Tesla, SpaceX, and other Musk-affiliated businesses. December 13th, 2018. The Washington Post's Jenna McGregor wrote on this date about her astonishment that Tesla CEO Elon Musk publicly despairs the SEC even after the agency forced on him a $20 million fine, resignation as chairman, and a consent decree regarding his social media communications. She wrote, quote, "Coming at a time when President Trump is shredding norms of what it means to be presidential, Musk has driven right over what's seen as conventional behavior for a public company CEO. McGregor is the Jeff Bezos-owned Post's leadership reporter, which seems to mean writing woke articles highlighting business executives' compliance or non-compliance with U.S. Democratic Party talking points. Her typical recent article headlines include gems like, quote, "Corporate America, critical of restrictive voting bills, remains largely silent on Texas abortion ban," and, quote, "Companies backed Trump for years. Now they're facing a reckoning after the attack on the Capitol." Musk's willingness to buck the Washington and New York political establishment and violate politically correct norms offended McGregor's sensibilities. So, in a page out of the Post and New York Times playbook, she found some experts who were just as outraged. Charles Elson, in charge of the Corporate Governance Center at the University of Delaware, said, quote, "To poke the SEC in the eye in this manner, most would consider it an ill-advised and ill-tempered move." The aptly named Gregory Schill, professor at the University of Iowa's Business School studying corporate governance and securities regulations, said, quote, "If Hillary Clinton were president, I don't think Elon Musk would get the attention he has in the same way. We have someone who is engaging in behavior that bears some similarity to President Trump, and people look for whether or not they will be held accountable." Much to McGregor's surprise, 2 weeks after her article, two high-profile businesspersons, Oracle founder Larry Ellison and Walgreens Boots Alliance executive Kathleen Wilson Thompson, stepped forward to fill two independent director positions on the Tesla board mandated by the SEC consent decree. Thus discouraged, in the last 3 years, the Post leadership reporter has directed her clickbait pen towards more promising targets. Musk, it seems, is still waiting on the promised accountability. December 14th, 2017. Business cable channel CNBC reported on this date Elon Musk's support for the Trump administration's ambitions for Moon and Mars manned exploration. Musk had tweeted, quote, "It is high time that humanity went beyond Earth. Should have a moon base by now and sent astronauts to Mars. The future needs to inspire." When some of the Twitterati bashed Musk for advocating spending on space exploration rather than putting money towards more terrestrial concerns, Musk responded, quote, "Our existence cannot be just about solving one miserable problem after another. There needs to be a reason to live." Musk was no Trump supporter, and he had made a very public exit of Trump's Industry Advisory Council the previous June, after the administration pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord. Musk's withdrawal led to a flood of resignations, and the council was eventually shuttered. It was another blow to Trump's political clout, which came back to haunt him during the 2020 pandemic-tainted re-election campaign. That was neither here nor there, however, as Musk was all in on his SpaceX venture, fully committed to humankind as a multiplanetary species. Thus, the baby did not need to be thrown out with the bathwater. December 15th, 2017. CNBC noted on this date that SpaceX had become the first private company to launch a reused rocket on a NASA mission. The CRS-13 resupply mission was lifted on Booster 1035 from the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station's Launch Complex 40. It was Booster 1035's second mission, and it successfully returned to a ground pad. CNBC observed that the Space Shuttle was a reusable spacecraft launched with reusable solid rocket boosters, although the shuttle was a government-owned vehicle, and the boosters were designed and built by Thiokol, a defense and space federal contractor. The CRS-13 mission was the first launch to take place at the refurbished pad at Cape Canaveral after the 2016 Amos 6 explosion, and Booster 1035 had executed the 20th successful booster landing. Dragon C-108 was on its second mission. SpaceX had actually reused 3 boosters previous to the CRS-13 mission, but those were all for commercial customers. Enjoying our content? We issue new videos every week, so be sure to subscribe so you stay current. Subscribing is free, and we encourage you to browse our 350-plus video library, where you can find more Milestones installments for every day of the year, as well as tech documentary segments, current events in space exploration, science and technology, gameplay recordings, reviews of tools and equipment, and reviews of small electronics and appliances. Each video is tagged with an alphanumeric indicator in the title, so searches for particular segments are quick and easy. December 16, 2017. Wired magazine published comments from Musk near this date that said, quote, "Public transport is painful. It sucks. Why do you want to get on something with a lot of other people that doesn't leave when you want it to leave, doesn't start when you want it to start, doesn't end where you want it to end? Why would you want to be squeezed in with a bunch of random strangers, one of who might be a serial killer? That's why people like individualized transport that goes where you want, when you want." Wired transportation and urban planning writer Ariane Marshall didn't find Musk's views funny. She said, quote, "Musk criticized the basic tenets of public transit, the compromises fundamental to a system that serves a community, like set routes, schedules, and the presence of other human beings." A review of her article history doesn't show any axes to grind, so it is likely Marshall's dismay was constructive rather than reductive. A Boring Company spokesperson tried to soften Musk's comments. They said, quote, "The point is that while mass transit is generally painful, it doesn't have to be that way, and it should be better. That's why the Boring Company exists, to increase the happiness of both drivers and mass transit users by reducing traffic and creating an efficient and affordable public transportation system." December 17, 2019, a Falcon 9 B-5 rocket, Booster 1056, lifted the JCSat-18 satellite to orbit from the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station's Launch Complex 40 on this date. The booster successfully returned to a drone ship. Singapore-Japan venture CondoSat needed the satellite to cover the Asia-Pacific region. Due to the heavy weight of the payload, it was injected into a lower-energy subsynchronous orbit of 20,000 kilometers. The satellite lifted itself to a full geostationary transfer orbit. This was the third Falcon 9 launch for JSAT after 2 previous 2016 flights. SpaceX attempted to recover the fairing halves, but both missed the recovery boats, Mistree and Mischief. Have you agreed with our choices, or do you think there are other events in space and tech history that are better? Go ahead and share with us by dropping a comment below. If you have suggestions for other space and tech milestones, let us know. We'll credit milestones we pick for future videos to those viewers that post them. And don't forget to click the bell notification icon so you don't miss upcoming videos. December 18, 2020, comedian and car collector Jay Leno paid Elon Musk some compliments near this date concerning his influence on Tesla and his vision concerning EVs in general. He said, quote, "The genius of Musk is that he was building the infrastructure as he was building the vehicle. Even today, a lot of the major manufacturers build an electric car, but where do you charge it? Elon was smart. When he started, he knew this idea would work, so he built charging stations." Leno's comments, which were made during an interview with CNBC's Shepard Smith, were not confined to Tesla. The retired late-night host also said, quote, "The fact that Elon can send a rocket into space and land it back on Earth for, what, a tenth of the price of the US government? Well, that's what private industry is supposed to do. Cheaper, faster, and more efficient." December 19th, 2020, a Falcon 9 B5 rocket, booster 1059, lifted the NRO L-108 satellite to orbit from the Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39A on this date. The booster successfully returned to a ground pad. The planned launch was not known by the public until FCC filings appeared in late September, followed by confirmation from the NRO on October 5th of 2020. The payload was light enough to allow the return of the booster to the launch site. It was the fifth launch of Booster 1059, which was to be reused on the Starlink 19 launch the following February. On December 3rd, 2021, SpaceX announced the company had started building new launch pad infrastructure at the Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39A for Starship orbital missions. The move is likely to expand the number of available launch windows for Starship in order to meet the company's aggressive Starlink launch schedule. Musk previously stated that the Falcon 9 had insufficient payload capacity to launch the number of Starlink satellites needed in the time required, and that the Starship would eventually replace the Falcon 9 for these missions. The FAA's influence over the Boca Chica starbase also likely has contributed to SpaceX's decision to build additional Starship launch facilities outside of Texas, at facilities not under the Aeronautical Agency's thumb. NASA confirmed to journalists that SpaceX's lease allowed the company to make such a renovation to the 39A launch facility. The agency was not contributing to the refit, although SpaceX has bid the Starship for NASA's HLS Moon Lander program. We hope you enjoyed this 65th episode of Bladed Tech's Tesla and SpaceX Redux. If so, click that like button. Once again, don't forget to subscribe, or just stay in touch by following us on our microblogging accounts, which are listed below, the community feed for this channel, our Instagram feed, and our Minds page. We announce all new videos and post some unique content on those outlets. And if you prefer an alternative video distribution source, consider visiting our channel on Rumble. Thanks for watching.